So, I was doing some outlining recently, and I realized that I only have 31 world letters left in this 6-year-long game project. Now, you might be like, Belle, what are world letters? For those of you who don't know, world letters are a tradition I started with my friends in middle school where we send each other letters about what's happening in our fantasy world. Now, since then, they've evolved from letters into chapters of stories pretty much, but I still call them that out of nostalgia for my middle school self. And this most recent world, Yssaia, has been one I've been working on since the summer of 2018. So that's for the last 6 years now. I would love to wrap this up before the anniversary of World Letters, the beginning of this tradition, this next May 12th. Right now, it is December 6th. I want to wrap it up by May 12th, 2025, which would be the 15th year anniversary of this tradition. If you don't know, Yssaia is a fantasy political drama about fated heroes returning to the world after a long absence, abyssal beasts rising from the depths, and the little girls who carry the weight of the world's grief. In particular, it follows the story of an assassin named Arabesque No, whose noble house fell during the war, and now she needs to figure out what her place is in this new world where her country has been conquered and weapons of mass destruction so great that they have caused the gods to come and intervene once more. Right now, I'm at a point in the story where the governments are finally realizing that the old demon god has returned, and now they're trying to decide what to do about it and whether or not they should genocide all of the demons, even though the demons are honestly kind of low-key just people. Yssaia takes a lot of inspiration from the World Wars and the turn of the 20th century, but it still has that classical fantasy feel in some respects, in that you've got kings and prophecies. And while all my cultures take inspiration from both Western and Eastern influences, I also really like that they've become a thing of their own based on their geography and how all of these societies would theoretically exist in the environments that they're in. So since this is the end of a first draft that's taken 6 years, which is probably too much time, but you know, we're here now, I want to take this vlog to see what it's like over this ending period, check in regularly, see what I'm doing well, what I'm struggling with, and how I'm gonna tackle the obstacles ahead. So go ahead and brew your warm drink of choice, settle in with a cozy blanket, and listen to the tale of a woman going slightly insane as she writes a lot more words. I'm looking at like 70,000 words, guys. Like, that's, you don't understand. So I know some of you just probably came off of NaNoWriMo. Oh, hang on, this is the future for you guys. I'm sure some of you regularly do NaNoWriMo and it's not that big of a deal, but I usually only do 50,000 words over the course of 6 months. So doing 70,000 words in 161 days is gonna be a little rough. But I think that I can do it, because if I can't, I will just sacrifice my sleep until I can. Don't be like me, kids. I don't know what this is anymore. All right, forgive me for switching to voiceover now, but I am not comfortable in front of a camera. I don't know if you can tell from the way that it's edited, but I am so uncomfortable talking when the camera's on me, but I can talk fine if I'm just being recorded. It's just looking at a camera that somehow wigs me out. So anyway, the rest of this vlog is gonna mostly be voiceover, but I'm still here, guys. It's still me. I'm still so cool. You love me. So I'm establishing what's going to be happening for the rest of the year. I'm sure it's not very visually interesting, but yeah, no, this is planning, man. And here it is, almost all done. So this is where I'm at right now. You can see here's my word count. Just if we estimate, since we've got, like I said, we got 31. They're not all at the end either. We have 31 more letters. Some of them are in the middle, like they're just like, I've got this placeholder here where I need to do these things in this letter. This is a letter about Singirsa pulling Imvar out. Imvar is sort of Arlesair's old father figure, and Singirsa is his like replacement daughter. And basically they both got the real short end of the stick during the war. I mean, short of dying, of course. And so when Arlesair is moved elsewhere and they try to rescue her and stuff, and she's not necessarily as willing to be rescued as they might hope, they end up having to find their new meaning after the war ends. So that's one of the letters I have to write. But down here, we can see, let's see, where is it? So this is the last letter that's fully actually written with both prose and dialogue. As you can see, one of the reasons the reason it's got all my dialogue like this, is because I'm planning on turning it into a game. And so I want the dialogue to be really easy to find. But if I don't, then I've got the prose anyway to support it, to convert it really more easily into a book, which I would just say, hey, this is a game script, and you're gonna deal with the fact that the dialogue's weird. And if you're like, Belle, this isn't how game scripts structure their scripts, you're wrong, because the answer to how our game script's structured is there's no standardized structure. We do literally whatever. Sometimes we do what the film industry does, but then left line everything, which is atrocious, honestly. Probably a front against God. If we're going to mimic the film industry, why don't we just mimic them? But also, sometimes game scripts just look like a Excel spreadsheet, and you know what? I like this. It's very role play looking, like two people are in a chat role playing stuff, and this is what they're saying, and this is what they're doing and stuff. But you know what? I think that's fine. I think it's readable. I think the writing's fine also. I mean, we'll try to make it good. But then from here, hey, 69, we've got until 97 to do, along with the others scattered in there. So I think it's 26 to the end, and then scattered more. So yeah, that's where we're at. Right now, we just finished this Senate one. This is the one I was sort of talking about in my intro, where we're talking about the demon incursion. And this was actually really hard to write because, firstly, it has so many characters in it, and more that I'm gonna need to sort of backfill in, because I have a couple of senators who are sort of here to be straw men. And I think I have other times where I have straw men senators who are just sort of here to say things to oppose the protagonists. Which I know is not the greatest rhetorical device, but I think it makes sense for the protagonists in a courtroom scene to be debated. So I'm gonna have to go back and flesh them out and make sure their political views make sense and align with their political views here. Even if they're gonna be pretty minor characters, I just want given that this is a political fantasy, I think the politics are really important. And I still don't think the scene is entirely here, because while I have a lot of the arguments I want to make, I think a lot of the dialogue is a little too modern. Like, I think they say genocide a couple of times, which I'm not sure I actually want to use that word because of the fantasy elements, not because I don't think that genocide is good or whatever, that we should shy away from what it is, but I don't know if that's the term that I want them to use. I'm sort of right on the cusp of, should I use all older words or should I use all newer words, because of the time period. Very tentatively, if I had to nail it down to a real world time period, the year is 1980, I'm so stupid. The year is 1880, but we invented nukes. And so that means some parts of the world are still, subsistence farmers. They're still living mostly in an agrarian society. I'm thinking Western Russia, Eastern Russia. Russia around this time is that. Obviously large parts of Africa and Australia are that. At this point, large swaths of China and Japan. I think Japan is still agrarian at this point. Japan's in the middle of its industrial revolutions. England, France, Germany, Italy, they're all fully industrialized. USA, also really working on it. So with this in mind, it's kind of difficult to determine what language I should use to maintain that fantasy feel while also making it clear that, well, we're not in like the 1500s, it's not a bajillion years ago. I mean, because when you have magic if you've had magic for the last 2,000 years of your development, the need to invent gunpowder goes significantly down when you can just spontaneously set anything on fire at any time, or control the way that the air moves by using certain symbols. So you don't really need to make gunpowder and like barrels and stuff. It's a lot different. But yeah, so that's one of the things that I struggle with the most, definitely, is what words are we allowed to use? I determined at some point that I'm willing to use the slang okay. Also, here, gang violence, I don't know if we want that or not. Oh, also, the panoptical enforcement of peace is too brutal a punishment and is easily exploited by bad actors. Like, that sounds cool, but is panopticon too modern of a reference? I don't know. It's hard to say. Oh my god, I'm sorry. This section is so much longer than I thought it was going to be. One of the things I want to work towards is have it so that right before the end, we go through all of the perspective characters, as well as some of the characters who haven't had a perspective yet, like a POV section, and have the goddess of discord try to tempt them away from participating in the final battle as a way of showing people overcoming despair and disconnection. I don't know how well that's actually going to work. We're going to have to see. But part of my sort of thesis with Yssaia, and I also don't know how well I'm doing this, is I want to show that the world doesn't change with any one person. There's not one hero in Yssaia. Everyone has their part to play in history. So I'm gonna go ahead and dig into the dinner scene here and get all my characters rested up for the next big political encounter. Okay, well, I've been kind of stuck lately. It's the middle of January now. I'm 27 now. It's so cool and stuff. Yay. Yeah, I don't know. It's just been like a lot lately. I've been kind of hormonal and stuff. I don't know if this is TMI, but I've been really struggling with my fatigue and hormones and stuff, and like I'm probably gonna see a doctor about it, but it's still tough. And you know, the TikTok ban's coming out, and my job security's not super stable, so it's like the combination of job and life and the world and stuff. It's making me feel like really tired really easily. Now, that might be the time where you say, Belle, take a break, and maybe I should, but it's like, I just feel like I need to push through it a little bit. But okay, so here's the thing. One of the reasons I've been really struggling to write is that, I think anyway, is I just don't know what happened. Like, I sort of imagine everything that I do in my head before I write it down, and I just haven't really imagined this next scene very much, where I know what it needs to do from like an emotional beat. That's what I plan out, is I plan out the emotional beats. I sort of put pins in like the point in like points on a curve, but I haven't done my this is a integral. This is not a metaphor that's going to work for people, but you're plotting points on the line, and then you do an integral to put a nice curve through it, right? Okay, yeah, there you go. There's the calculus metaphor that no one's going to understand. Okay, well, glad we did that. But yeah, I'm at 150,000 words in this section, which totals, I think there's like 70,000 in the previous section, 50,000 in the first section. So hang on, I just did an integrals joke, so I have to do the math. 150,000 plus 70,000, 17 plus 50. Oh, so that's 270,000. So we're not at 300,000 yet. I keep using 300,000 as like a nice round number. The other thing to keep in mind is that the whole middle section, I completely rewrote it. So my my word count for like how many words I've written for this thing is not necessarily the word count of how many words have ever existed in it, if that makes sense. So like, that's also the other place where I get kind of confused. So if I had 70,000 words and then I rewrote those 70,000 words, you know, that's like kind of like, as in like I threw it out and rewrote it. So it's like kind of having written 300, you get the point. I've written a lot. It's taken me many years. But anyway, that's not the point. The point is, I just am kind of feeling down, and I just don't want to be. Anyway, I want to be out of my little emotional slump right now, regardless of what's causing it. It's just kind of rough for me right now, but I'm gonna make it happen. I promise. Let's get my hair to look better. I'm sorry if I don't look great. Well, maybe I'm not, because I've never heard a man apologize in a vlog about not looking good. So here we are. Okay, so I realized that I got past my block for now. I've been kind of in a low mood because of the chaos with like the world right now, but you know, that's always how it is. Creators gotta create, I gotta focus on the things that I can control, and so that's what I'm doing, and that's what you should be doing too. If you're having a hard time, focus, regardless of what time it is, or what else is going on in the world. If you're having a hard time, focus on the things that you can control, because you can't ever control other people, you can't control the state of the world, probably, I assume, unless you are the leader of a country, in which case I can't help you. You fix your problems. But yeah, so here's the deal, is that basically the reason I couldn't write is because I didn't know what I was doing. And in order for me to know what I'm doing, if I need to write, I can't just sit and stare at a blank screen until stuff comes to me. I have to move around. I have to take walks. So I took a long walk the other day. I've been getting exercising. I've been eating better. And that helped me imagine what I wanted to do with this next scene. So I had this really cool moment, and I kept imagining it over and over again until I got it right. And I initially started out as it was just they're going to go to this place and they were going to talk to Kivik, and Kivik was going to be like, oh, I'm mad at you and I'm blowing down I'm going to blow up the world. Then I realized that actually, what if it's better if either he's A, being manipulative, or B, genuinely sorry for what he's done? Either of those are interesting. So it's like, so they get there, they're gonna like defeat him, they're thinking he's gonna be like the Sig Menace, and he's just like drunk and depressed, right? And so since Saravanya used to be like his queen, like they used to be together, they used to be lovers. So she goes to him and she's like, oh my God, this guy's falling apart. And so even though they're enemies now, she still cares about him. It's, you know, it's that, it's the ex that you didn't want to break up with because you liked them, you saw the good in them, you saw the potential they had, but they just were not eating it. That's her and Kivik. And he, despite the fact that she tried and possibly kind of succeeded in killing him, he's a god, so it's fine, he can come back. Since she tried and succeeded in killing him multiple times, he still loves her though, because it's like not that big of a deal. He's a god, he can come back, it's fine. She's not conspiring with his enemies, she's just confused, it's okay. Now if I lay down on one side or the other, I think Seraphania's in the right. I don't think that you should enslave human beings to eat. But that's just me. I'm a human, so maybe I'm biased. So anyway, so they have this confrontation where he's really sad about things, and she's like, well, if you had just admitted that you were wrong sooner, we could have been together. And he's like, well, that's really manipulative and bad, mean of you. And so then they get in this whole conversation, and and he's like, it's fine. I'm gonna give you the world that you want. You asked for this. All it takes is for me to eat every single human being on the planet, and then I can make the world perfect. And don't worry, I'll put all the humans back, okay? You know how if you borrow a horse and it dies, you give the person a new horse? That's what I'll do with the humans. And she's like, no, you can't kill all the humans and then have them be reborn. That doesn't fix the problem. And he's like, no, it's fine, because I will make the world perfect, because when I'm a god again, I will fix everything. And he's like, you'll be okay too, because our fates are intertwined. And that's how she killed him the first time, is she intertwined their fates, and then she sacrificed them both. But she did it through like a big magic spell thing the first time, so when he woke up again, she came back, like it was like a sealed away dealio. And so this time she's like, oh, I just need to kill myself before he realizes that he should stop me. And she doesn't even say goodbye or anything, she has these like magical tentacle tails, and she just stabs him into her heart, and he loses it. His heart is like having a heart attack, because, you know, bound fates. Her girlfriend's there, her like new girlfriend, and she also freaks out. It's a bad time all around. And this is what makes him go, okay, I need to eat all of the humans right now. I'm gonna cause this catastrophe because I need to save Seraphania. Or does he just care about himself? Maybe. It's impossible to tell, because he sucks, and he's not very self-aware. I don't know if you know. When she's like, you have to stop making cults in which you drink people's blood, you have to leave humans alone, he's like, I am leaving humans alone. What are you talking about? The people in these cults, they're so happy to saw off their arms and feed them to me. So I don't know what you're talking about. I'm not making people do anything against their will. They chose to do this. And she's like, no, dude, you convinced them that they want to saw off their arms and give them to you. And he's like, no, they just decided to do it on their own. This is their choice. And so that's the thing I think that is like most conniving about Kivik, is that he is like, no, the people asked for this. And like, he's not wrong. They did, but it's still not good for them, right? So that's what I'm really excited about. So anyway, so her girlfriend's like super traumatized now because she just watched, you know, her girlfriend kill herself, or almost. She put herself in a coma because, you know, him being a god and stuff, he can heal her. So she's like okay, but he's not a full god, so her heart is like not working correctly. So he just basically like makes it beat for her. So like, is he doing stuff against her will again and keeping her alive against her will? Yes, but also, you know, she's also a little bit out of her mind because she's unalive. No one's in the right. It's so messy, guys. Oh my gosh, it's so exciting. So anyways, so he's gonna try to take over the world now. He's summoning all these demons. They're gonna try to eat all the people. And then Nessa, the girlfriend, goes the Inquisitor General, oh my god, Inquisitor General, who's her boyfriend, who's their boyfriend. Oh my god, see, I told you, it's messy. It's gonna be so good, guys. Oh, I love it. This is how I should film. With the camera too far away from you to tell if I'm looking at the camera or looking like slightly adjacent to the camera. That's the secret. Listen, we're working on the on-screen presence, okay? I'm here, I'm present with you guys. We're like a team. Oh my gosh. Hang on, I'll do all the things, the Aiko things. I don't know, like this? I don't know. Okay, so now I get to write this really cool, like, massive battle scene. I think I've only had one other of these, so I'm gonna need to summon my battle experts / co-writer / influencer. I call him the Diachaeus Kivik my fiance. I'm gonna have to summon him to help me write this big battle so that it like works out and is like nice and stuff, because that guy knows way more about battle stuff than I do. That isn't to say that I don't like research or like know things, but I'm not a military history buff. I'm just like a normal history buff, right? I can tell you all the causes of World War I, but I cannot tell you a single battle that happened in it other than it was bad and that everybody used chemical warfare stuff, and that was bad. See, you can see from the beginning of this clip where I was like nervous to be on camera, and now I'm just yapping, but it's fine, I got this. Okay, so next step, big battle scene. After the big battle scene, we're gonna go back to negotiations. It's gonna be like battle scene, cut to the negotiation room, because the people, the rest of the cast is all in the north, and the battle isn't happening in the north, it's all in the south. So after the battle scene, we're gonna go back to negotiations. Negotiations are gonna be under higher pressure though to get done, so that we can go back to helping the battle people. And then after the negotiations, there's gonna be like an assassination attempt, because of course there is, after how much Arlesair has been doing assassinating this whole, well, she actually hasn't done that much assassinating in this. So, okay, I do worry sometimes that people are gonna be like, oh, Arlesair's like an assassin, but she doesn't assassinate anybody. She did, she used to. That's the whole problem, is that she used to be really good at killing people, but now killing people is not the answer to her problems, so it sucks, because she doesn't know what else to do. And so now the one thing she's good at is not useful anymore, so that's kind of that there. She also, but anyway, I hope that when she does get the opportunity to kill people, that it's like clear that she knows what she's doing and she's like cool and stuff. I mean, once again, killing people isn't cool, but you know what I mean. We all come together for the big battle, so then we send help to the battle, but then Diachaeus gets ousted, which is a scene I wrote like 5 years ago now, or like imagined like 5 years ago now, and I like have bullet pointed out. And it's like, and now it like almost doesn't fit, but I'm gonna adjust it because I've had this in my head forever and I want to save the scene. I'm just gonna have to adjust the circumstances of it. So he's gonna have to step down, Calliopeia steps up, and then we go to the final battle. We almost win, and then I'm fairly certain what I'm gonna have happen. I'm sorry, spoilers for the ending, but it's really not about I don't think this is an actual spoiler other than people live, or then the protagonist is gonna live, so I guess no main character Main character isn't gonna die. Sorry, guys. And also, let's be so real, no one's gonna watch this, so, like, it's fine. Okay, so she's, at the end, she's gonna almost defeat... She's almost going to be the one to do the defeating, but then, because she's learned that her value doesn't come from her killing people, and it doesn't come from her, like, stabbing people and sacrificing herself, because she just saw Seraphania do that, and that was bad for Seraphania and didn't actually work, because sacrificing yourself is actually bad, actually. You shouldn't do that. You should take care of yourself, and because taking care of yourself is actually the best thing you can do for your community. So then, she takes care of herself, and in the final battle, instead of stabbing people, and then that's how she wins. That's her victory. Now, do you know what happens to the rest of the world? There you go. I won't spoil that. I won't tell you what happens to the rest of the world. Okay, I've been yapping long enough. This is great. Okay, yeah. Okay, so ignore my face. I tried something new, and it didn't really work out. But you know what? I'm already here, so now you have to look at it. You can all see. And you know what? This just goes to show that it's fine. You can do things that you're bad at, and if you're bad at them, even if you're not really ever going to get that much better, it's okay. Because it's not the end of the world. Look at me. Are people going to make fun of me in the comments and help me farm engagements by insulting my appearance? Maybe. You can help by doing that. So anyway, actually we're like 12 away from the end. And the thing that I'm not on a microphone. Well, fuck it. Here we are. The thing that I realized as we're getting up to the last climax here is this big going to fight the final boss in his big final dungeon thing doesn't feel significant enough. And do you know why that is? It's because the build-up isn't good enough. It's not because the scenes in the dungeon aren't good. Well, they're not written, so they're bad too. But it's not because of the things leading up to the dungeon. It's definitely because of the things leading up to the dungeon. I still haven't done my February video. Lol, we gotta do that today. I had a job interview, so that's an improvement over last time where I was sad that I didn't have a job. So what I decided to do to fix my writing problem is I'm going to, yeah, so obviously the job interview went about as well as this is going. Fuck. Okay. Do you guys think I have ADHD? Anyway. In order to make it more significant, I decided to insert another culture. It is like going to be the official ancient culture. Think about it sort of like the fantasy world equivalent of Atlantis, where it's this mythical civilization that went horribly. It's got a tragic ending. And it's going to be called the Kigali civilization, as in like Irish Kigal. And I'm going to make a handful of the characters have Kigali descendants, and so then when Kivik is going to like try to restart the empire, and then they're going to defeat it again. So because of that, he's going to restart it, but because Kivik, remember, makes everything out of flesh, the whole thing's going to be remade out of flesh and bone. And like just imagine these beautiful skyscrapers made out of flesh and bone. So yeah, that's sort of where I'm going with this, is we're gonna go, that's how we're gonna ramp things up. And then the actual ending, after they like chase him out of his recreation of this kingdom, which also means I have to do more art. Oh my god, I just realized, that's fine. Then they're gonna go back to the ruins of Aonan Chao, where this whole, which was annihilated at the very beginning, and then they're gonna go, and that's where Arlesair killed Gil and stuff, so it's like emotionally significant to the characters, and they're all gonna go back there, and so that's where we're going. I'm excited. Okay, I have low-key been turning into an absolute shut-in. Look at my plushies, or the state of my plushies, are the state of me. But I am 10 away from the end, and I've spent a lot of time thinking about how the ending's gonna actually go, because it's the end. It needs to be good. I feel like historically I would have been a lot more willing to just like go for something and then edit it. But at this point I'm kind of like, if I'm gonna do this, I should just try to write it clean, draft cleanly the first time. I flip-flop between the two philosophies all the time, whether I'm like, no, I'm gonna zero draft, I'm just gonna go, I'll fix it in post, to I want to draft cleanly, I'm going to write this like 20 times in my head before I then put it on the paper. So yeah, That means there's a lot of days that look like I'm not doing anything, and it makes me kind of feel bad. But I've worked out a lot of knots along the way. Like, I've got this idea right now that I want Arliser to have this moment where instead of hurting someone, she chooses to help people, and by doing so, this like one act of compassion leads to them cracking the whole case of what they're gonna do about Kivik, and then that leads to us defeating him in his true form, and then the ending, yay! Oh my god, I stayed up till like 6 a.m. last night. It was like 6:30, so this morning, thinking about assets and for the visual novel stuff. So I have a pretty much complete list of assets. There's probably some stuff I missed for the visual novel side. I don't have a list of assets for the world side because I'm just kind of like that. I'm kind of doing by the seat of my pants, which may not be ideal, but you know, it's the less significant part to me. As much as the hilarious part though is that I do think that the world design is gonna be the part that more people interact with long term. Like realistically, I do not think that most of you are going to play my game all the way to the end and see the ending and see all the story and stuff. I think you guys will see a little bit of the beginning of the story and go, oh, that's pretty neat. And then you'll do the world building, you'll wander around, you'll find all the things and be like, cool, I'm done. And I don't think you guys are actually gonna get to the end of the game. Why am I making a game if I don't think you guys are gonna get to the end of it? Let's be so for real though. Who beats games anymore? Like, who 100% finishes games? I don't know anyone who actually beats games. Like, maybe you beat games that you really, really love. Maybe you beat or short games. Those are like the two things. But does anybody beat games? No. So, you know, I don't feel that bad about it, honestly. Oh my god, you also get to see how terrible my posture is. But it's fine. It's fine. Don't worry about it. Okay, I said, like, in a previous thing, I have to stop worrying about my appearance in these things, but every time, I'm always still worried about it. So, you know, doing great. Sidebar on the rest of my life, I have not heard back from the job people. I am pivoting, though. I finished the first of, like, 7 courses for my marketing certification. I'm also going to get an AdSense certification as per the recommendation of my friend who's in marketing. I think a lot of signs, sorry to get deep and like go off and veer off into my life problems. I think a lot of signs are pointing to the fact that the game industry may be collapsing as like a big thing in the West where you know, it can sustain all of these people as a full-time job. And I think this is in part, I mean, think about it sort of like the book publishing industry. Like with novels, 99% of novelists don't make a full-time income off of their novel stuff. They work a day job, and then novels are like a chunk of their income. But I think unless you're like, unless you're one of like the famous people, or if you're really good at right to market, those are like kind of your two options, then you're not really making a lot of money in the book industry. Like most authors sell 1, maybe 2 books if they get lucky, and then that's it. And then they don't sell 10,000 copies, and then the author goes away. And I think the game industry is moving towards that. I think we're kind of past our like golden age. And I think one of the things you can use to see this is that, one, the crazy number of layoffs. Like I saw a number somewhere that was like 41% of game devs have been laid off this year. That's so much. That's so much. That's an unreasonable amount. So yeah. Secondly, I think the other thing is, and then also, the only places in the industry where you do actually see monetary growth, as opposed to just sort of stagnation, is in Eastern markets. It's in China, it's in Japan, it's mostly in China, it's in Japan, it's in Korea. And as someone who does not speak Japanese, Chinese, or Korean yet, I don't think there's a lot, and also who probably wouldn't, like, I don't think pricing-wise I'm competitive over there either because of their like cost of living and stuff. So I don't think I could live on a China, Japan, or Korea salary here in the US. So even if I were to work remote, and I'm not going to move over there, I'm going to be so real with you. Well, I don't know, we'll see, but probably not. That's not in the cards for me at the moment because like all my friends and family are here and they're very important to me. I think that people are more important than locations in a lot of situations. So yeah, I'm not actually super hopeful that this is going to sound so dark. I'm not super hopeful that I'm going to get another job in the game industry. I think, but I'm okay with that at this point. I've sort of made my peace with it. At my heart, I know I'm a creative. I know I'm gonna do whatever I want. I'm gonna make games. I'm gonna write stuff. I'm gonna do, and if I don't have the pressure for it to financially succeed, I can literally do whatever I want. I do not have to cater to anyone but what I want to make. And that's really freeing in its own way. Because no matter what you're doing, if you're doing it for money, if you want people to give you money for it, no matter how much you want to have creative freedom with that, at the end of the day, you are still going to think about the market, right? And in some ways that's good, because there are some things about the market that make that pressure you to reach certain levels of quality, that pressure you to make certain good pro-social decisions, for example. I don't know where this was supposed to be a quick thing, and I'm off talking about whatever. My point is that the game industry's dying. I'm going into marketing, maybe I'll get, hey, you know what? Maybe I'll get a job in game marketing. You know what? That'd be the dream. And then I can pivot out of the game industry whenever I inevitably get laid off again. Woo, yeah. Okay. I am always so much more hyper at the end of these clips. I'm so sorry. Ooh, let's not show you out there. We're really close to the end. We are we're 2 world letters away. One is the climax, and the other is the epilogue. So I'm super, super close. Oh my God. And, so yesterday I wrote like 3,000 words for this, and then I hated all of them and I threw them out because I like walked around a bit and I realized I shouldn't have written any of them. And so like I had 2 letters for the final battle written and I threw them both out and I was like, no. So I rewrote them, and today we're back to 2. And now we just have 1 more for the final battle, which is all plotted out, and I like it. I've thought about it for a really long time. It's basically the thing I've been imagining for years. And then the next thing I have to do is the epilogue, which is just going to be a bunch of vignettes. So I'm actually okay if I don't entirely finish that. I'm just going to, at the very least, like write some stuff down for it, and then it's going to be done. I'm going to call that good. I'm going to call that good for my first draft. Oh my God, I'm not even looking at the camera. I'm so sorry. I gotta go. I gotta go eat. So I showered to try to get my brain clear. I'm going to get some dinner, and then I'm going straight into the second half of this. Of my big writing sprint for today. Writing sprints? I don't even know, dude. I'm so cooked, guys. Also, like I said, like I wear this. Oh, I'm sorry. That's the microphone. I'm out of it. I have to go. Also, I'm girl dinnering so hard tonight because I just want to write. I'm gonna get some this because this is good for me. This is protein, and this because it's leftovers, and that's probably good, right? I mean, I started this in 2018, so that's like 7 years ago now, I guess. Almost 7 years ago, almost 8, something like that. Yeah, summer of 2018, so you can do the math. It's February 28th. I said that if I had time to just work on this full time, I could finish it before the end of February. And since I lost my job, I've just been like, working on it. Not full time, but like a lot. This last week has been kind of full time, low key. I did apply one day for like 5 jobs, so that was good. But today was really hard. I wrote so many words. It's a good day if I get more than like 1,000 words. Today I wrote 9,000 words. Well, I wrote 14,000 words, but then I deleted 4,900 of them. This is just the course of regular typing, though, not like the words ended up on the page, like deletions. We ended at 190,000 words in this document. 190,371. And I don't have the other documents up because I'm not prepared to do this, for this to be happening. 55,000 plus 71,000. Oh, 316. Oh my gosh, it's less than 350. Oh my god, thank god. Thank god. Do you know why? Did you know it costs like 3 cents per word to edit something? So if I get a professional editor, hang on, we said 316,000 times 0.03, and that's at the really cheap end. Usually it's like up to like 5 cents a word. So I'll go ahead and put up 5 cents a word. That is $15,000 to edit this. Do you know who doesn't have $15,000 to just sitting around for me to throw at editing costs? Me. That's okay. That's really good. That's fine. Wow. It also, cause like here's the other thing. It's like there's not really room for more story now. So I'm like kind of saying goodbye to these characters, you know, like from like an improvisational standpoint, like from like living in this world with them. Like obviously I'm still going to do editing stuff, but that's a little different, really different part of my brain. That's a really like more technical side of my brain. That's thinking about it from an audience perspective, thinking about what is it that the audience wants to see, what is it the audience wants to read. Oh, this isn't even the right thing. I was going to read you the final line of the whole thing. What's the final line? I don't even pull it up here. I've got it here. Final line is, final 2 lines we'll do. I settled with them against the altar and turned my face to the sun. No matter how the stars turned, I'd always find that same warmth. Heart, this one. That's one I can do with my hand. The last chapter is called And War Shall Be No More, which is the prophecy at the beginning. Man, I was listening to a super emotional Yukiya Kajiura song I never heard before, but now that I've heard it while I was writing the ending, and it sounds like an anime ending theme. It's apparently from Pandora Hearts, but I haven't seen that. I will always associate that song with having finished Yssaia, so yay. I have new musical memories implanting in my brain, new big emotions, so man, I feel so, like I said, I was so out of it earlier. I also still feel out of it. I think this epilogue is going to need a lot of work. I'm content with my Arlisar one. My Arlisar epilogue is great because it's a mirror of the intro. Everyone else's, though, is kind of like summaries of what they're doing. I hope that's okay. I mean, that might be okay. I feel like it's probably good because this is like a massive, giant story, so rather than just being like, okay, immediately after the climax and cut, I feel like being like, no, let's look a little bit at the rebuilding process is a good idea, because this whole story is kind of about the rebuilding process, but then there's more fighting. So I feel like it would be disingenuous to not include some of the rebuilding process, some of the moments to show that these characters are okay now. I'm already editing. Not me reading something and going, that I said mine too many times. Okay. Okay, hang on. We'll do a real outro now. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. Thank you all so much for watching this vlog. For me, this was more than a vlog. This was like my life. This is like the culmination of my last 7 years of my life's work. This is my magnum opus, I guess. For now, obviously, I'm gonna have more magnum opuses, but for now, this is my magnum opus. Seeing this, I'm just like so emotional. So this is probably like so fucking cheesy, but it means a lot to me that you watched all of this, because there is a lot of rambling in it, and because this story means a lot to me. This has been the thing that I've done. This is like the thing that gives my life meaning above many other things. I mean, obviously I love my friends and my family, but this is, if I were to define my life by its work, this would be that work. So, thank you for supporting it in whatever little ways that you have.